So I'm curious, how many of you guys are interested in owning rental property? By raise of hands. This should be every single one of you, because what have the values of rental properties done over the last 10 years? They've skyrocketed. They've doubled in some cases. They've doubled and doubled. In some cases, they've doubled and doubled and doubled, right? So do we all want to get rich here tonight? This is the interactive part. I'm sorry. Say that. Let's try this again. Do we all want to get rich in here tonight? Yes. Okay, this is the only time, and I'm going to make you go through one of those yes exercises, I promise. But I do want to share with you both the good side as well as the bad side of being a real estate investor who is a landlord. So for me, I cut my teeth as a real estate investor owning rental property. I still own many of the rental properties that I first bought back in 2003 today. So I have gotten the opportunity to watch those values double and double and double, and I have been able to watch that increase my wealth over the last 20 years investing in real estate. I will tell you, probably the smartest thing that I did, so raise your hands again. Who are the people in here who want to own rental property? Okay, keep your hands up if you want to manage that rental property yourself. Okay, most of you have said no. Some of you have said this, which I think is yes, but I think you're going to tell me the reasons why I don't want to do that. And the answer is yes. I'm going to tell you exactly why you don't want to do that. Because you don't want that call at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't want that call while you're on vacation to come and fix something like a G.I. Joe that some tenant's child has put in the toilet, or worse. So I've gotten a call about a fire on a property. That's always exciting. That's an exciting day. And I've also had to do evictions. I've had to come over with police. So those are exciting days, and I don't want any of you guys to have any of those exciting days. So the faster you can stop managing your own property, the better you will be off. I can just promise you that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about hiring a property manager. Now, I will tell you, this is part of a 2-part series. So what I have on the screen here, and I'm actually going to toggle back to this screen right here, just so you can see it a little bit better. Let's see if I can get that screen going here. And it looks like my screens may be a little sticky. There we go. So this is an eye chart. None of you can read it, and I apologize for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break out the middle portion, that blue portion, the one on your left. So the last week when we got together, we went through the portion of finding properties that can be great rentals. So if you guys are interested in seeing part 1 of this, I know you guys are all in part 2 of this, but if you want to see part 1 of this, you can check out our Texas REIAs YouTube channel, or you can watch it on one of our prior Facebook presentations. Now, I have broken it out to where it's something that's a little bit easier to read, so I want to go through this while we're all together. So let's go through some of the obvious reasons why we want to hire someone to be able to do this for us. Tribal knowledge source is really number 1. What your property manager, right? So I know we've got someone who does property leasing in here. What your property leasing agent, what your property manager should know about real estate is going to be critical to your success as a real estate investor. The Texas Property Code is over 100 pages long. How long is the lease agreement that you use, Alexis? I'm curious. Do you know how many pages that is, Alexis? How many pages is the lease agreement? You don't. Who in here has done some leasing, property leasing? Anybody? How many pages is that TAR lease agreement? No, it's not 48 pages. No, it's not 6 pages. No. It's like 18 pages. Okay, it's 18 pages. That's from, I don't fill them out anymore. I've hired a property manager to do that for me. But you know what's the irony about having a lease agreement that's 18 pages is what? How long is the purchase agreement? It's 11 pages. In fact, the last 2 pages, one's for the title company, so you don't fill that out, and the second to last page is for the realtor, so you probably don't fill that out either, so it's really closer to 9 pages. Why in the world would a Texas lease agreement be longer than a sale agreement? Because you would think one would be bigger than the other one, and it's the one that you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for as opposed to the one that you're paying thousands of dollars for. So this is why it's really critical to get someone on your power team, if you will, who can really have that knowledge of real estate laws and structuring those leases, and also have the ability to answer calls from your tenant. How many of you guys like to vacation? A lot, right? How many of you guys like to go to Hawaii? Yes, it's beautiful. What's the time difference there again? It's like 5 to 6 hours, right? I don't remember the exact, the last time I was there, I want to say it was 5 hours. I can't remember if daylight savings, if they honor that or not. 5 hours. So when do your tenants like to call you? When you're sleeping or partying or having a good time or on vacation in Hawaii, right? Do you want them to call you or do you want them to call someone else? Someone else is good, and that answer is the sooner the better. They can also be the one to collect the rents, manage the escrow deposit for your tenant, market the property, show the property, lease, do all the paperwork, get the keys and locks set up, do the property inspections, have emails go out to make sure that they're changing their air conditioning filters, right? Because that's one of the things that will kill you as a landlord. Help you with the accounting, provide those monthly reports, provide that property evaluation so you can fight your taxes, right, as they come up, meet vendors at the property so you don't have to, screen those tenants, manage those lease violations, because all of a sudden those pets show up and those other people show up who are not on the lease. And those need to be handled as quickly as possible. And do you want to learn how to go through an eviction? Who wants to go and show up on Zoom court to evict someone? I watched my property manager do this about 6 months ago, and it was fascinating to be on Zoom court for that. But trust me, it's that part of the law is something that you don't want to know, get familiar with as well. And then, gosh, do you think that when you call ABC that they're going to fix it as cheaply and any tenant issue as quickly as someone who has an in-house handyman? An in-house handyman is going, for if your property manager has that, is going to save you thousands of dollars. And they'll also already have those access to trades, those power team members as part of their group. Managing utilities between your tenants, because when the tenant moves out, they turn off the electricity. Someone has to turn on electricity, manage all of those different processes, and just to have that general guidance. So I want you guys to hire a property manager as quickly as you can. A lot of people will say, well, I don't want to pay my property manager my full first month's rent or 80% of my first month's rent and lose that entire amount of money. And I don't want to pay them 10% for every single check that they just get, because a lot of people, as they're first looking at a rental property, think, oh, this is so easy managing it. It's all about collecting rents. And what's the truth? The truth is that is not the truth, right? So I will tell you, when we first started investing in real estate, my husband and I, he was the one to manage the properties. And if he would tell you himself, he was a terrible property manager. Why was he a terrible property manager? And I was a terrible property manager too. Why do you think that was?
Too much work.
Too much work, fixing himself. Why else? Emotionally, no?
Too nice.
No, too nice? Okay, so it's funny. I've found myself on more than a few occasions telling people I'm nice, but I'm not a doormat, and I'm not your doormat. And all of a sudden, I get something a little different out of them, which is I hate to have to do that, but sometimes you have to. So I will tell you why. It's because when we got into real estate, it was not to be a property manager, and it was not necessarily to be a landlord. It was to have rental properties to be able to build our income and to be able to build our wealth. But really, we wanted to invest, right? And for us, that was the exciting part, to be able to find a deal, to be able to negotiate a deal, to get funding for a deal, to create a strategy for a deal, to be able to close a deal. After that, we wanted to hand it off to someone else to do all of the, what we call, minimum wage activities, okay? Because as a real estate investor, what is your highest wage activity? What's your highest return on your time investment? What is it? This is the interactive part. Getting it, not necessarily managing it, right? If you're managing it, yeah, you might save yourself $4,000 or $5,000 a year. But if that saving of $4,000 or $5,000 a year is costing you one deal that might make you $50,000 a year, what have you done? You have really screwed up. Did you just say you cheated yourself? Yes, that's exactly what you've done, and you need to think of it that way. The problem is most people, as they start investing, don't think of it that way and think, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to save money, I'm going to save time, and it's all going to go to my bottom line. But then you don't do the marketing to be able to get that next deal. You don't maybe pick up the phone from the marketing that you already did to be able to get that next deal because you're busy changing a toilet, right? Or you're busy changing locks, or you're busy meeting a tenant, or you're busy meeting a contractor. You're doing something that is not going to be your highest return on your time investment. So I will tell you that as soon as my husband realized this, he said, Chanel, I need you to manage the properties. And I said, oh, okay. So that lasted about 6 months until I did what? I hired a property manager immediately. And I hired one of the top property managers and she was a hard ass, which I loved about her. So she always had my money, which I loved about her. And she was a better property manager than I was. She was much tougher than what I was. And I got to have that separation, which was really wonderful and effective for me because it allowed me to focus on my time, effort, energy on finding the next investment, the next deal. And that is where you guys will all find your best return on your investment of your time, not on managing your property yourself, not on fixing your property yourself, not on saving money. You ever save your way out of, into riches? See, I save my way into millions. No, you make your way into millions by selling, right? And by buying as a real estate investor. So please take it from me, get someone very effective as quickly as you possibly can just to get that property rented. Now, I want to give you some questions to be able to ask that property manager that you're going to look for. And I know I've got a lot of questions up here, but these are the things that you're going to want to go through. Find out, number one, you got to make sure that they're licensed because you've got to be a licensed agent unless you work just at one property. How long they've been managing properties, how many units they manage. Do they do the maintenance? You want someone who has a maintenance team on staff because those people will save you money over hiring someone else who's going to come in that you might have to hire off of the streets. The background checks, the screening of tenants, understanding what their monthly management fees are, what they charge for that initial lease, what they charge for renewals, doing the direct deposit for the owners, and do they take direct deposit? Do they take the Venmos? Do they take the Zelles? Do they get that cash immediately? Do they have credit card processing to be able to make that payment to you much quicker? Let's see what else I want to point out here. The monthly reporting and the yearly reporting. This, if your property manager does this, this will give you a nice roll-up of how well all of your properties performed that year and which ones underperformed, which one took more in maintenance, which one took more in, which one made more in terms of total rent. Are they sending reminders to be able to get the rent, to be able to tell the person that there's going to be a freeze tonight and please let the pipes drip because we don't want to come in there and clean up all of this water damage that happens right when we have these freeze storms and ice storms here. Let's see what else I want to go through here. Let's see. Do they upcharge for those repairs or do they pass that along directly to you? That's another great question to ask. Do you meet vendors at the property for repairs so that you don't have to? Find out what types of properties do they manage, single family or apartments. Can you help with tenant evictions and do you charge an extra fee for that? So tenant evictions can be a very painful process. Some people will refer you directly to an attorney. Some people have enough people on their team to be able to help you with that process. Let's see here. Do you invest in rentals yourself? Why do you want to know the answer to that question? You want to see if they have experience, right, in terms of dealing with tenants and also in terms of picking the right property. So the last thing, what's worse than bad advice? What's worse than bad advice? Bad advice from a trusted source, okay? So a lot of people assume, you are a realtor. You are a property manager expert. You are a perfect person for me to tell me where I should be buying rental property. Where is a realtor going to tell you to buy rental property? Where's a realtor going to tell you to buy rental property? MLS? Where else? Where are they going to tell you? What geographic region are they going to tell you to go to? A challenged area. So when we first started investing 20 years ago, we called the largest property manager in town and we asked the question, where do you recommend that we buy rental property? And they listed a suburb of a suburb. Okay? And we said, wow, I'm curious, is there any appreciation in terms of home values in that area? I'd say for Dallas, I'll just kind of give you an example. It was like they said, well, you need to invest in Pilot Point. There's nothing wrong with Pilot Point, okay, just to be clear. But it is more of a suburb of a suburb of a suburb. It's getting really far out there. And we said, well, I'm super curious, like why that area? And the property manager said, well, that's where all of the rental properties are. Bad advice from a trusted source. Why is that bad advice? What do you guys think about that advice? Who does that not sit well with? Okay. Who has watched, It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas? Who else does that besides me? Okay. There were two bankers in that movie, right? There was George. He was the good banker. What did he try to create? A community of homeowners. What kind of community was that? A super prosperous community, right? What did Potter, the bad banker, try to create? A community of renters. What did it look like in that reality? A slum. A slum. Now, for me and my rentals, I want to be the only rental property on the street. I want to be the only rental property in the entire neighborhood. Why? I want to be the one who's pulling down the curve for everybody else. Think about that. I don't want to be surrounded by other rental properties who are pulling down the curve of everyone there. Now, I know we have people who are interested in being a landlord. How many landlords are in the room tonight? Already have rental property? Already have rental property? Okay, a couple of you guys. How many of you guys have ever said, wow, this tenant left the property in better condition moving out than it was when they moved in? Right, said no one ever, right? So, and if that is, and I mean, that's a stereotype, but I mean, that's probably true, probably a solid 75% of the time, right? So, if you are buying rental properties, make sure you're buying in areas where you're not surrounded by all of these other rental properties. Because listen, homeowners are doing honeydew projects every weekend, doing stuff to raise the value of their property. But are tenants doing that? When I was a tenant, when I was in college, I planted one plant in a pot that I took with me when I left. Right? I didn't do anything to improve my landlord's property. It's just not it's not in your nature to do that. So be sure to look for, make sure that the area is not oversaturated with other rental properties. Do-it-yourself property management, I don't recommend this. So I put some of the things that you have to be aware of in here. I really don't, I made this slide and I'm like, I can't show it to them. I don't even want them to know what they should do if they do it themselves. But I know that there is this tendency to want to have that experience, right? And I will tell you that experience will get in the way of, I think, what all of you guys want is to be able to find that next deal. Knowing all of the fair housing laws, Austin has a bonus fair housing laws, and Austin students are a protected class, right? So in different areas, there are different laws when it comes to renting. You got to make sure your locks are changed, your smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, all of those things are in place. You have to understand the law. I did do a quick look at the Texas Property Code Section 92 before I put this together for you guys. It is 105 pages long. It is 105 pages long, all about how to handle tenants and tenant law in Texas. There are attorneys that all that they do is represent landlords. Okay? Please have someone professional do this for you. You'll have to know when to return your deposit. You'll have to make sure that it's itemized. You have to follow rules on what late fees can and cannot be. There are tenant rights for family violence, for military service, understanding how to handle a deceased tenant, which I know was on was in your How to Be a Real Estate Investor book, right? But some of these things are, will happen for you. Pets versus service animals. They changed the law for service animals and somebody can help me with this. I want to say it was about 6 years ago, I think. And how so a licensed realtor and broker in the great state of Texas, license number 0518223. I'm not your realtor. Don't sue me. You've been disclosed. We're good. Moving on. Yeah. So one of my rental properties, the tenant wanted to bring in a dog. And as it turned out, it was, we're asking questions. My property manager was asking questions about this dog. And as it turned out, it was like an 85-pound dog. And it was like, oh, it's just a dog from a pound, mixed breed dog. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see a picture of this so-called 85-pound mixed breed dog. And what did it look like? A mix between a Rottweiler and a Pit Bull and a German Shepherd, right? Like the three most deadliest dogs out there, right? So I'm like, well, this is not going to work out, right? So my property manager said, like, hey, they're being kind of firm here. It's like, what do you want me to tell them? So I said, listen, I'm going to reach out to my insurance company, right? So I'm going to put this all in my insurance company. I'm sorry, like I can't. My insurance company is going to cut my insurance if we do this. And this is right after some of the service animal laws changed drastically. And this was right around the time where you could get on a call with someone who would say, yes, it seems like a service animal will help you. And yes, I think an 85-pound Rottweiler German Shepherd Pit Bull mix would qualify for that. Oh, and for $250, I'm going to send you a form that says that. What do you think this lady sent me? Oh, and by the way, you're in violation of the, fair housing for service animals. Let me tell you guys something. Truth is stranger than fiction, and never is that saying more true than in real estate investing. Okay, that's what I can promise you. So, and I think they added like ponies to the. I mean, this stuff just keeps getting funner. But to the service animals, so do know that there are some rules around that, and do know that they also change as well. So. Wanted to share with you some of those tips and tricks, and also let you guys know that we have a lot of prior tips and tricks that you can find on our Texas REIAs YouTube channel.